Morning light, we bloom again. From the deep we rise within. Down below, then we ascend. Lotus heart, lotus heart, lotus heart, we bloom again.
Welcome to Bloom. Be loving to ourselves and others more. I'm Dr. Darlene Powell Garlington. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm here with some of my Bloom ladies who participate in our women's group. Hopefully, you already saw it. If you don't, go back and look at episode 1 that really talks about in detail my background and my experiences and my own personal trauma that I had to persevere through and grow to be more resilient and be able to turn a real adversity into an opportunity. And I use that opportunity to help inspire other people to persevere through their trauma. So go back and look at that. And then there's a second episode of our podcast where we talk to some of our sisters, our other Bloom ladies. So today we're going to follow up on what we talked about and touched on with the other Bloom ladies, but go a little bit more deeper and looking at the trauma that we have experienced and how do you persevere through it. So I have 3 beautiful ladies with me today. I have Carol here, I have Linda, and I have Jenny. So ladies, let's talk a little bit about what our experiences have been in the group and how talking about our trauma has helped us to empower and inspire each other to heal.
I can say the very beginning of Bloom, I was a little unsure. And because I have a lot of empath, I found it very difficult those first couple of months because I would take everything in here and then take it home with me. Now I've learned to maybe control some of that empath and have really settled my mind and settled my soul and heart. So I'm getting a lot more out of the group discussions and feeling the love of all the women that are there.
That is such an excellent point. And it's something that everybody goes through. But if you're an empath like Linda, it's even more difficult not to take on other people's sadness, their trauma, their anxiety. And as a psychologist, I've had to learn to do that early in my career. You don't become desensitized. You still have loving feelings and caring feelings and lots of agape love. And I want to make sure I know that my audience understands agape love. In a Christian sense, it's God's highest love, but it's love of humanity. It's when we have a deep sense of compassion and just understanding that we're human and having that type of empathy for each other. But if you're an empath, it's heightened and you feel it more deeply. And sometimes it's difficult to navigate. So I appreciate you saying that. But as we learn how to set boundaries, we recognize that we can hear and we can show up for and we can be supportive of each other's pain, but we don't have to take it on.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Agree.
That was excellent, Linda. And I appreciate, again, your vulnerability and your honesty and saying that in the group and allowing us to help you to deal with that because you are such a caring and giving person, in addition to making all the wonderful treats that she makes for us every month that puts the pounds on because they're so absolutely delicious. Mm-hmm. So then we have to do our holistic health and find ways. And we talked about that in our earlier segment of integrating mind, body, and spirit, including finding healthy outlets to exercise.
That's wonderful. So I think I'll just jump in. When I think about what Linda's saying, I want to say that being part of this group has been instrumental for me because I look back and I see the growth that I've made and looking at all the challenges that I've faced. It wasn't for these wonderful women and you, Dr. Garlington, that has helped me to grow and learn really to be true to myself and to not take it on and let it define what has happened, but to understand it fully, to embrace it, let it cultivate, grow, learn. And that's been for me the most impactful is really the learning and being with these amazing women. I think that has been the biggest strength for me that has helped me to grow and learn. And I don't look at the trauma as the end all be all, but more of it's a step in time and a moment where you look back and not letting that affect what can become, because I think we all have to understand that, yes, we can become these women. Like, I know me, I am such a person who loves and cares deeply. So in some ways it is heightened, like Linda said. So I have to be very, very conscious of what I'm doing, especially, with my children, that there's a guilt sometimes that I feel because of what I've gone through with them. And they've been part of that from very young.
Mm-hmm.
So now what I do is I ensure that I am really making sure that I'm just, looking at myself first. Whereas
You
before.
are phenomenal in doing that, because it takes courage for us to self-reflect, especially if it's something that's overwhelming. And especially if whatever we went through, like with me and my trauma, it impacted my children. So when you're thinking about other people that your experience may have adversely impacting, it's overwhelming. But it takes courage to look at that. And I so commend Carol for being able to do that, with any kind of devastating trauma, but especially something outside of your control. So, Carol and I had a big conflict. It was a conflict because Carol was going to self-disclose. And as we talked about in my previous Bloom session, somebody brought that up. They said that our group had to get to a place of trust and a place of non-judgment. And when Carol was going to share just details, like my details, I didn't share my details either, but it's in my book, Blooming Again. But, Carol, I didn't think the group was ready. And if anybody judged her, the group would have ended. I would have told everybody to go home. So I knew that we needed to develop greater trust and compassion for one another and timing. And so Carol didn't understand me at first when I said, Carol, can we wait? And then we talked about it. And it just made us feel even closer and more connected to one another, because I will protect her.
I appreciate
and
that.
protect any of my Bloom ladies at any cost. And I wanted us all to get to that healthy place of agape love.
I would like to follow up with all of this, starting with the agape. I had never heard the word prior to the very first monthly. So, and then learning throughout. Now we're working on 2+ years here with this group. Holy moly. But learning along each month what agape means. And not necessarily, in most cases, it's not with words. It's not verbally that we're discovering what this beautiful thing is. It's a thing. Holy, holy, holy. I'm enamored. I love it. I love this group because we do share the hardest stuff in our lives. And that has happened because of the trust, and could only happen with a trust factor involved. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself, no, I'm not going to make next month. No, I don't like the topic. No, I haven't missed one. And it's because I'm gaining so much from this. I normally walk because I'm close enough to walk to these monthly meetings, and I walk home. I don't walk home. I'm skipping sometimes, I swear. So I have kind of the opposite of what you described, Linda, in the beginning, right? Yeah. Now, this didn't happen immediately for me by any stretch. However, it did evolve, and I pay attention to it on that skipping. I'm like, do you realize what you're doing? Do you realize why you're doing it? Because you just spent 2.5 hours or more learning, processing, crying, sharing like crazy, which is why we're there, to share and feel like human beings, being able to smile again. Please, I want to smile.
Jenny, you said so much, and that inner joy, for me, I would say the Holy Spirit, we can call it whatever we want, but that, like you said, unspoken connection and energy that happens when you experiencing agape love. And Jenny, of all people, said about crying. May I?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Jenny used to tell me that she didn't want to cry.
Mm-hmm.
And she's so beautiful and sensitive. Like, I'll cry at a commercial, so I cry all the time. But watching you become comfortable in our group, to be able to cry and see it as strength instead of weakness, and to be vulnerable. Go ahead.
I'm going to. I'm going
I
to
love it. Go ahead.
dispute that comment regarding
Comfort.
yes.
Okay.
I'm not comfortable crying still, but I am allowing it. So that's part of my growth.
I really appreciate that correction, because you're absolutely right, because it's a progression, and we all are. Works in progress. I'm work in progress in many areas. So for you, getting to that level where, even if, because sometimes I have to be comfortable in my discomfort, recognizing that this is not going to be comfortable for me, but I'm going to be okay with the fact that it's not. I'm going to step outside my comfort zone. And I commend you. It was courageous for you to do that and allow yourself to do that.
Yeah.
I want to smile.
Yes.
I'm in charge of that. Only me, not you, not you, not you. No matter how much you do serve me, and you all do serve me, but I am in charge of that smile.
We talked about that previously, locus of control. And locus of control means exactly what you just described, that we can all see the same thing, and we have a choice to make, our perspective, and we own that. Like, I know somebody in prison that I adore, and that man is one of the strongest men that I know, because he's defining who he is in there. He's teaching people, because, he has his doctorate, so he's educating other men in there. He's doing Bible study. When I used to go visit him and I'm sobbing, and he's like lifting me up, I'm supposed to be there to lift him up. So you're right. Nelson Mandela did it. Nobody can control our inner thoughts. Nobody can control how we decide to handle a situation but us. So I am inspired by your saying that you made that decision of how you're going to put a smile on your face, regardless of external circumstances. Your perspective is to be gratitude, to show gratitude, to have joy, to have a contentment and a peace that surpasses all understanding. I've watched you do that through health challenges. Yeah. I watched you speak at the Cancer Walk, and your journey was, everybody was mesmerized by you and your journey.
Yep.
Thank you for saying that.
I was there, and I agree with you on that one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Such strength.
It
Such
was very
strength.
therapeutic. And so, yes, I was not in my comfort zone. However, I made it happen.
You did?
I made it happen, because how can you screw it up, folks? You can't screw this up. You're in control, Ginny. Whatever you say or don't say, and I did mess up my speech. It's like, okay, just go back and correct it. That's what you do.
There you go.
So, yes.
And probably nobody knew that, because I didn't, but you.
That is
That you felt like you
Didn't
messed
either.
up.
really just to piggyback off of what Jenny's saying and all of this. I really wanted to say that, Dr. Garlington, you've given us that platform. We all didn't start out that way. And I think back, and as we're sharing all this, what makes the group so unique and special is how you kind of helped us to all come together. Because we were talking about this outside, actually. Linda and I were saying, wow, we were all thinking about the first day we walked in. Do you remember we walked in the first time and you had us do 3 activities? We had to pick a favorite dance. Pick a favorite song, and think of a flower.
Yes.
And, right? And so we all had to perform that.
Dancing.
Probably the
Yes.
hardest thing that we could have done in front of these strangers, because that's what we were first.
Yes.
But I think that allowed us to really understand that we may be from different backgrounds, races, gender, income, but guess what? We have so much more in common, that we're all coming for one reason, and that's for the agape love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what we feel. Like, think about it, gives me goosebumps, because I know that I cannot stop coming to this Bloom once a month. I look forward to that. But you've made that happen for us. So if it wasn't for you brought this to life. Your thought, your cultivating, everything has given us that platform to be together and to really share openly, honestly, with no regrets, feeling safe in a place that
I was just going to say
can be
that.
And stopping us when you needed it.
Yes. Yes.
I really want to thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
100%.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I feel also being able to open up about some of the trauma that I have gone through in my life, and I'm still going through with my daughter, and has made me self-reflect and learn to take self-care of myself. Because if you don't take that self-care, going through all this trauma and keeping it in your head, you're not going to be good to anybody, but you're especially not going to be good to yourself. So I thank you for allowing me to feel more comfortable about opening up about certain aspects in my life. And without you, I wouldn't have been able to do that in front of people. So I'm so grateful for that.
It's reciprocal. I learn and grow from each and every one of you. But I love how you're talking about, because that's Bloom, be loving to ourselves and others more. And as you grew in your self-love, because you're so giving and so nurturing with people, and as you grew in your ability to do the self-care, you're able to set boundaries, Linda.
Thank you.
Because you give to everybody. You give to us. You make all this food. You nurture everybody. But it was so important for you to also step back and say no sometimes to requests, and even if it's family members. And I saw you just blossom and bloom in your ability to do that. And Carol said earlier about no regrets. And in my book that says KNOW regrets, because too many people walk around, and we'll do a follow-up on this, so stay tuned. But no regrets, N, for sign language N, it's like, oh, there's nothing I've done that I regret. Really?
Yeah.
KNOW. You don't beat yourself up about it. You don't just ruminate over it and perseverate and think about it all the time. But you say, what did I learn from it? KNOW regrets. That's wisdom. That's growth. That's knowledge. When we think back and say, it happened, I can't go back, there's nothing I can do to change it. And I'm not even thinking about changing it. What I'm thinking about is, what lesson did I learn? What did God want me to see in that situation that now informs me in the future to do things differently? So thank you both for the no regrets, and just for looking at loving of self first. And also, I love the fact and I love that in the group, when you guys challenge me, because that's how I grow too. And it's not a question of, again, as we talked about in our earlier session, of disagreeing in a negative way. We can disagree without being disagreeable.
Correct.
And that's love, because it's inevitable in any relationship that you're going to have conflict. You're going to have disagreements. It's the conflict resolution that matters. How do you resolve it?
I love that. As I'm thinking, I remember in our group sessions we have with the ladies, there were so many times where you challenged us a great deal to really look into our inner selves, and really some of the things that we held back. Because I know, if looking at my experiences from the time that I started and where I am today, I am such a completely different person. I know, like Linda said, the tears were flowing, and every time I would think about something, it'd be hard for me to really, speak on it. But I can speak on it now and feel completely empowered, so much that it's almost like taking off a weight off your shoulder. But to the point where I can't hold myself back, because I'm so happy where I am today. There are challenges, but guess what? Absolutely.
Lifelong, honey.
Yes.
But that's the work.
But you did not let it define you anymore.
Holy
When
moment.
it's defining us, yes.
Holy moment.
It's overwhelming. It's debilitating. Our self-talk, for any of us who have had a challenge, could be, why did I let that happen? I'm stupid. I'm no good. God doesn't love me. None of that is healthy. So how do we change that negative self-talk to, I grew. I did the best I can. I'm smarter now. I'm a good person. God forgives me. I need to forgive myself. Self-forgiveness.
That's the big one.
Yes.
That's a big one. Self-forgiveness
100%.
and stuff. I mean, I don't know if you want me to get into, but I have a daughter who's disabled, and she depends on me a lot, not only to help her and her wife and her son, but to talk to get things out, to be a listening for her.
Sounding board.
A sounding
Yes.
board for her. Thank you. But I've also gotten to the point where I can say to her, because she called me one day with this conversation, don't get mad. And I let her go. I felt it in me. And at the end of it, I said to her, I said, please do me a favor. Don't start these conversations off. Don't get mad, Mom. You need to start them off with, Mom, this happened, but this is what I'm doing. And that has made, that communication right there has helped tremendously. And she understood that conversation. And she now respects my feelings on that. So that's been so helpful. And I wouldn't have had that without this group of beautiful women and you showing me how to
I'm not
be
a beautiful woman. It's the beauty and me. No, the beautiful women.
the most beautiful
See, we laugh too.
woman,
We
the
laugh.
most beautiful
No, we
woman
laugh
out
too.
here. She is the most beautiful of the group. Sorry, girls.
Oh, now
But
I'm
she
insulted.
But she started this group.
We laugh too a lot
Yes,
in our
we
group.
Yes, and I'm going to be honest. I talk a lot, so sometimes she has to say, Linda, give somebody else a chance to talk.
She's very verbal. We have the very verbal people here. Yeah, this is the verbal group that I love.
Yeah.
But what you said is so important to understand because you have a beautiful relationship with your daughter and you're her person.
Yeah.
You're not just her mother, but you're her best friend. But that does require still boundaries because you have to be able to say, right now my cup is full. And also the lesson I think in those dynamics is any couple that you're going to inevitably have challenges. And I tell my daughter and my son's learned now, don't tell me all the details because you're going to go have sex, make up sex, kiss them, and you're going to be fine. And I'm still going to be, they mess with my baby. So we have to have boundaries even there and not sharing too much. So setting those boundaries too and saying, I love your significant other. So when you guys have challenges, decide. You know you're going to work them out. So decide how much you're going to disclose to other people that love them too.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, Linda.
That one we haven't gotten to yet.
Okay.
Well, I think that's going to be the next session, Dr. G, because the transformation is endless and it's happening faster than you think. And that's going to be for us to talk about privately. But I can say today, I haven't shared this, but I will say a little something. There is so much more out there. And if you're not searching for it, you're not going to find it. But I was very fortunate because I have two dear friends who actually have introduced me to someone who is very special to me. And we're getting very close.
Lovely.
It's nice to feel that way.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So to what, because it kind of hit me when you said about boundaries and children, they can become very protective. But I question that sometimes. I think it's a lot of the emotional stability, the emotional, connection that you have, and they see you as that person who's there for them 24/7. And there comes a time where you have to say, Mom's not going to be here forever, and I have to be happy, and I need to find what makes me happy. So that's what I'm working on.
Yeah.
Is
That's
self-love.
Fantastic. Because your kids will, if you let them, they want you to do what they need, so it's normal. You're the nurturer. You're the person who's been there for them. So when you start to divide your time, sometimes they'll have a difficulty with it. So setting those boundaries and being clear about it. And also, Carol, you're a beautiful woman inside and out. And it's wonderful that you use good judgment. You could have many suitors, but you knew to wait until you found the person that you felt equally yoked to, that you felt that there was compatibility. I especially say to young women, make a list of I had a session early this morning, make your negotiables and your non-negotiables in a relationship. What are the deal breakers so that you don't even waste your time? And then what are the things that you'll be able to compromise in negotiation? Because you're going to need those skills in any relationship. But know your negotiables and your non-negotiables. And you did that.
I think that's important to note because definitely needed to really understand Carol. And the time that I had to do that was amazing. And Dr. Garlington really helped me to do that. And taking the time out to understand, loving myself, developing, growing, truly knowing what Carol needs and wants. And that has been probably the best for me, is to really just Carol, just really every day learning, getting through the hard things, working it through with my kids and myself, and really developing that inner strength and that growth. It needed the growth to really understand where I am, who I am, what I want, what I don't need, what's not good for me, the trauma, the past relationships that were toxic. That was a lot that I, really had to work through.
Yeah.
And so I'm really grateful for that, because you pushed me to do that. That work wasn't easy. And every time we talked about it, it was hard to face. But that, you said, don't let it define you. This is something that's going to take time, and you have to give yourself time. And I think that's what matters.
Yes, because in life, there are times where we may meet somebody and we think that they're a good person or we can trust them. And the reality is, we have good hearts, so we want to be loving. And then if somebody comes into your life that is toxic, sometimes they could be sociopathic. It takes time to see that and recognize that, because the person may have some really nice qualities that appear to be, they're pseudo, and they appear to be, but then in time you recognize that they're toxic. And then to go from that, any woman, to then having somebody that may really be interested in you and is either love bombing you or genuine. They're giving you their best, but you just don't feel attracted to them. I saw you say, this person may have everything on paper that looks like it would be great for me, but it takes courage to say, but it's not reciprocal.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to walk away from it with grace and dignity and kindness to the person.
Absolutely. And let me just add, because one key thing you said, Dr. Garlington, was equally yoked. And that hit me, because that is where I am today. And that's what I'm looking for. Someone that is, and I can be equally yoked. And that indeed is, I think, where we're definitely at this point. So I love that.
Wonderful.
Really a great feeling.
Yes.
Wonderful to hear. Where were you 44 years ago before I got married?
I know.
Just want to know.
Well, I've had my share. So in terms of, for me, my education was so important to me. And I put that before any person, any relationship. I mean, besides for, at the time, my parents and close family. So that was a mistake. I mean, because for me, as long as the person fit my agenda, don't get in the way of my studies, don't get in the way of if I cancel on you because I have something coming up. So I was very controlling. So the growth that God does when you're equally yoked is you yield to one another. And you're not as rigid in terms of what you expect. You're willing to. And I see that growth in many of the women that I work with, because there's a difference between feminist and womanist theory anyway. But the feminist approach may work if that's what you want to do. But from my perspective, being a strong, independent, self-sufficient woman is not mutually exclusive to being feminine and knowing how to yield to one another.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
I got it.
Yeah. And then we have the other extreme. And I think, some of the women in our group will talk about where if they feel dominated or they feel like their relationship isn't thriving, some feel like they're so invested in it so many years that they don't want to come out of it. But then how do you do really what Jenny is talking about? How do you change your perspective so you can still have joy and not let the experience steal your joy? If you're going to stay, if not, figure out how to get out of it. But to be miserable in something is a choice.
Yes, it is.
Whether
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do I.
But
long time.
when you're miserable in it, one choice, Jenny's perspective is to change that, to change the way you see it. So that if you're not going to leave it, how do you find joy in other ways so you have fulfillment?
Yeah.
Or how do you make yourself get empowered enough to get out of it?
Especially when it's toxic.
Yes.
And it's unhealthy.
Yeah, yeah,
So there are differences. I think.
absolutely. Listen, good times, bad times, I mean, the one thing I can say is thank God my husband and I have been together for so many years. Not all good years, believe me. And I'm going to tell you what brings us closer together is our grandchildren.
Yes.
We have our one grandson come over. He stays over and he spends the night. And I can see the joy on his face when that little boy walks into that house. And he says, Dadu, build, and the joy that I get from watching that is amazing. So I think that has kind of bonded us together a little bit more. Not that that should be the only bond that we have, but at least we have that bond. The rest hopefully will come one day.
And family values is an important part
Yes.
of a marriage and a relationship, where you feel that connection to your children, your grandchildren, the extended family.
Yes.
I have had relationships where I didn't want to be with the person, but I loved their family. So it lasted a little bit longer because I enjoyed the time that I spent with their extended family and still have good relationships with the extended family. So that will keep people connected. And in a marriage like yours, where you've put in all the years, it is something that's critical and important.
Yes.
And if it's not toxic, you still want to try to work it out. And what I see you do is then you find other avenues for enjoyment, whether it's going to see a play in the city
Yes.
with your sister or with relatives, with your best friend. So you
Yes.
find other fulfilling things if you're making that decision to stay in a marriage where you don't feel completely fulfilled.
Right.
And there's peaks and valleys. I mean, I am so, so blessed, and I cherish the fact that neither my brother or I were able to do it. But my parents met at 11. They went on their first date at 15 roller skating. My mother's yearbook, I have both of the yearbooks. My mother wrote, "I will be the future Mrs. Powell." She claimed my father. And they were married until now it's 12, 13 years. My mom passed. And I saw my dad. He always is my hero, but watching him take care of her just made him even more my hero. So that kind of commitment. And my point, too, is that they went through challenges.
Yes.
They had adversity, but they loved family. And they had a deep love for each other despite the challenges. And that's a choice.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
choice
Yes.
to stay committed.
Yes.
You know,
It is.
I think too many young people, and I will say in my youth, people are disposable. I mean, when things didn't go my way, I was like, okay.
I'm done.
But that's not necessarily, those are the extremes.
Right.
And I think finding something in the middle where you try to communicate, try to work on the issues,
Right.
try to see the positives,
Right.
try to have the other connections.
And that's what you have taught me to do. So that I take that away, which is wonderful because I have become stronger for myself to say, I need to do this for me. So I understand you might not be happy with it, but I don't really care. So, I need to, you have your things that you need to do. I have my things to need to do. And they don't always coincide with each other. And that's okay.
And that's
okay.
empowerment. And it's also interdependency.
Yes.
Because when we're too dependent or codependent, we don't do what you just described. We don't find our own joy, our own fulfillment. You can be interdependent, where you share things, where you're committed to each other, where you work on things together, where you're partners, but you still have your separate interests and things that you find fulfilling.
Yeah.
And Jenny, you honor, and when you talk about, your husband who passed, you light up, but you talk about the joy of the marriage, and also the joy that you still experience from those memories and his legacy.
Absolutely, because I want to continue to smile, and so does it. It doesn't serve me to do anything but have happy memories and grateful memories. He visited me on Valentine's Day in the most bizarre way. I'm not even going to get into it. I'll share it.
We
with
want
the
to
group.
know.
On the next group, I will
Okay.
share it. But
Okay.
it's such a simple, silly little thing, right? Like a word like gecko. Because he introduced me to geckos. I'm like, that word is in my vocabulary today, Valentine's Day. Oh,
That's
my
amazing.
gosh. Norman, thank you for coming to visit me today.
Oh,
I love you too. So, yes, life has become a lot simpler, and I am reinventing myself after losing my husband of 30 what years. So, life's a trip, Doc, and that's how I ended up in your office, trying to figure out who I was without my mate.
Yes. And you went
Wow.
through the grieving process, but again, your word that you shared today, perspective, you chose to cherish the memories, cherish his legacy, and not allow yourself to be stuck in the depression or the anger stages of grief. So we're going to follow up with that because I love that as a future topic. And some of the topics that we're going to talk about in the future is Bloom in politics, and we'll have the amazing attorney Fred Brewington talk to us about blooming in politics, why men fall in love, and how that develops emotional intimacy with Dr. Lambert Shell, those of you who are from this area, and Angelo Hunt, who is a wonderful writer and philosopher. They're going to talk to us about that. And then we're going to talk about marital enhancement and challenges, the struggles in marriage. And we have two military couples who were both the women were part of Bloom, and the men, I work with them. And these are two men that I so respect and adore, who are going to talk to us in video because they were deployed and relocated. So they want to still be part of it. And then we'll have a couple in studio, one of our Bloom, maybe two separately, of our Bloom ladies with their husbands. So look forward to these exciting new podcasts that will be coming your way. Follow us. Look for us on all the social media sites that will be listed for you after this. And I'm Dr. Darlene Powell Garlington, and I want you to come and be more loving of yourselves and others with us. Look for me too on drdarlene.net. Take care till you next time you'll bloom with us.
Morning light, we bloom again. From the deep, we rise within. Down below, then we ascend. Lotus heart, lotus heart, lotus heart. We bloom